What if the most profound act of love in your life was not something you did for someone who could give you everything? What if it was something you did for someone who had nothing left to offer you? No money, no home, no husband, no future to speak of, no reason in the world for you to stay except the fact that you had decided to stay. And what if that choice, made quietly on a dusty road in a foreign country, set in motion a chain of events that would eventually change the entire history of the world? This is the story of Ruth, a Moabite woman who had every reason to go home and chose instead to follow a broken old woman into an uncertain future. A woman whose name appears in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. A woman whose loyalty has been remembered for 3,000 years. And a story that asks a question that reaches into every life that hears it. To whom are you loyal when loyalty costs you everything? The story begins with a famine. A man named Elimelech lived in Bethlehem in Judah with his wife Naomi and their 2 sons. When the famine came, he made a decision that would shape the next decade of all their lives. He took his family and moved to the country of Moab. Moab was not Israel. It was a neighboring nation with a complicated history with the Jewish people. The Moabites worshipped different gods. They lived by different customs. They were not the people of the covenant. But Elimelech went there because there was food. And sometimes survival requires going to places you would not have chosen. He died in Moab. His 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, married Moabite women. One was named Orpah, the other was named Ruth. They lived there about 10 years, and then both Mahlon and Chilion died. Naomi was left without her husband and without her 2 sons. In the ancient world, this was not simply grief. It was destitution. It was the loss of every economic and social structure that made a woman's life survivable. She was a foreigner in a foreign country, old, widowed, and without children to provide for her. She heard that the Lord had come to the aid of his people in Judah and that there was food there again. She decided to go back. She set out with her 2 daughters-in-law. And then, somewhere on the road back to Judah, she stopped. She told them to go back. Return to your mother's homes. May the Lord show you kindness as you have shown kindness to your dead husbands and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband. She kissed them goodbye, and they wept aloud. They told her they would go back with her to her people. But Naomi pressed them. Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons who could become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. I am too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight and then gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grew up? Would you remain unmarried for them? She was telling them the truth about her situation. She had nothing to offer them. No sons, no wealth, no future to provide. She was an old woman going back to a place she had not lived for 10 years to survive on whatever charity she could find. Why would they come? No. My daughters, she said, it is more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has turned against me. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye and left. But Ruth clung to her. Naomi told her to go back with her sister-in-law to her people and her gods. And Ruth answered with words that have outlasted everything else in this story. Words that people have carried with them for 3,000 years. Words that have been spoken at weddings and funerals, and in every situation where a human being has chosen commitment over convenience and love over logic. Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go I will go, and where you stay I will stay. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. And the 2 of them went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them. The women asked, "Can this be Naomi?" And Naomi said, "Don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi? The Lord has afflicted me. The Almighty has brought misfortune upon me. Naomi means pleasant. Mara means bitter. She had gone away full and come back empty. That was how she described her life. The years of loss had stripped everything away, and what remained was a woman who could not yet see what God was already doing. They arrived in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. Ruth went to Naomi and asked if she could go to the fields and glean behind whoever might show her that favor. In the law of Israel, landowners were required to leave the edges of their fields unharvested, and to allow the poor and the foreigner to come behind the workers and pick up what was left was the provision built into the system for those who had nothing. Ruth was asking to go and be a gleaner, a poor woman picking up scraps from the edges of someone else's harvest. This was what their situation required. And Ruth went without complaint. As it turned out, she found herself working in a field belonging to a man named Boaz, who was from the clan of Elimelech. Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted his workers. He noticed Ruth and asked his foreman who she was. The foreman said, "She is the Moabite who came back from Moab with Naomi. She asked me to let her glean and gather among the sheaves behind the harvesters. She came into the field and has remained here from morning till now, except for a short rest in the shelter." Boaz went to Ruth. He told her to stay in his field and not go to another one. He told her to stay close to his women workers. He had told his men not to lay a hand on her. He told her that when she was thirsty, she could drink from the water his men had drawn. Ruth fell at his feet. She asked why he had noticed her, a foreigner. Boaz answered, "I have been told all about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. How you left your father and mother and your homeland and came to live with a people you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." He invited her to eat with his workers at mealtime. He gave her roasted grain. She ate all she wanted and had some left over. And when she got up to glean, he told his men to pull out some stalks from the bundles and leave them for her on purpose, so she would have more to take home. She gleaned in the field until evening. When she threshed what she had gathered, it amounted to about an ephah of barley, a significant amount, far more than an ordinary gleaner would have collected. She carried it back to town, and Naomi saw how much she had gathered. "Where did you glean today?" Naomi asked. "Where did you work?" "Blessed be the man who took notice of you," Ruth told her. The man's name was Boaz. Naomi said, "The Lord bless him. He has not stopped showing his kindness to the living and the dead. That man is our close relative. He is one of our guardian redeemers." The guardian redeemer. This concept is central to what happens next. In the law of Israel, when a man died without children, a close male relative had the right and the responsibility to marry the widow, carry on the dead man's name, and redeem the family's land and future. This person was called the kinsman redeemer, the guardian of the family's inheritance. Naomi had a plan. She told Ruth that Boaz was winnowing barley at the threshing floor that night. She told her to wash, put on perfume, get dressed, and go down to the threshing floor. Wait until he had finished eating and drinking. Note where he lies down. Go and uncover his feet and lie down. He will tell you what to do. Ruth said, "I will do whatever you say." She went. She did what Naomi had told her. And in the middle of the night, Boaz woke up and discovered a woman lying at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am your servant Ruth," she said. "Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family." What she was asking, in the language and customs of that time, was for Boaz to fulfill the role of the kinsman redeemer, to cover her, to take responsibility for her and for Naomi. Boaz answered, "The Lord bless you, my daughter. This kindness is greater than that which you showed earlier. You have not run after the younger men, whether rich or poor. And now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character." But there was a complication. There was another man who was a closer relative than Boaz. By law, that man had the first right to act as the kinsman redeemer. Boaz would need to go to him first. "Don't be afraid," he told her. "I will settle the matter." In the morning, Boaz went to the town gate. He sat down and waited. The closer relative came by and Boaz asked him to sit down. He assembled 10 of the elders of the town and explained the situation. Naomi was selling the land that had belonged to Elimelech. The closer relative had the first right to redeem it. The man said he would redeem it. Then Boaz told him the rest of the arrangement. On the day he bought the land from Naomi, he also acquired Ruth the Moabite, the dead man's widow, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property. The man changed his mind. He could not redeem it because it might endanger his own estate. He gave Boaz his sandal, the legal sign of transferring the right. Boaz announced to the elders and all the people present, "Today you are witnesses that I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Chilion, and Mahlon. I have also acquired Ruth the Moabite, Mahlon's widow, as my wife in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property, so that his name will not disappear from among his family or from his hometown." The elders and all the people said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the family of Israel." So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. When he made love to her, the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. The women said to Naomi, "Praise be to the Lord, who this day has not left you without a guardian redeemer. May he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better to you than 7 sons, has given him birth." Naomi took the child, laid him in her lap, and cared for him. The women living there said, "Naomi has a son." They named him Obed. Obed was the father of Jesse. Jesse was the father of David. The woman who had gleaned at the edges of a field. The Moabite widow who had chosen to stay on a dusty road when she had every reason to leave. The foreigner who had said, "Where you go, I will go. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God." Her great-grandson was the greatest king Israel ever had. And from the line of David, 1,000 years later, the one who would be called the Son of David, the one who was born in Bethlehem where Ruth had gleaned, the one whose genealogy in the first chapter of Matthew lists her by name, Ruth, the Moabite, the woman who stayed. So what does this story mean for us today? The first lesson is this: loyalty is a choice, not a feeling. Ruth did not stay with Naomi because staying felt good. She had just lost her husband. She was young enough to go home, find another husband, rebuild her life in familiar surroundings with people who knew her and a culture she understood. Orpah made the rational choice. Ruth made a different one. She chose. Not because circumstances made it easy, but because she had decided that Naomi mattered more than her own comfort, that the covenant she had entered when she married into this family was not canceled by the death of her husband. That loyalty was not contingent on what she was getting in return. The people in your life who most need your loyalty are rarely the ones who can offer you the most. They are usually the ones sitting in the ashes saying, "Call me Mara," the ones who have nothing left to give and who need someone to stay anyway. Who in your life needs you to stay on the road? The second lesson is this: small, faithful steps in the right direction are not small. Ruth did not know that Boaz owned the field she walked into. She did not know that the field she chose for random reasons was the field of the one man in Bethlehem who could change everything for her and Naomi. She got up in the morning and did the next right thing. She went to glean. She worked from morning until evening. She brought home what she had gathered. She did not know she was walking into a love story. She did not know she was walking into a genealogy. She was just trying to feed herself and her mother-in-law. The ordinary faithful steps you take in the direction of what is right, the unglamorous daily work of showing up and doing what is needed without knowing what it will lead to, are not ordinary in the hands of a God who sees the full picture. Ruth gleaned at the edges of a field. Her great-grandson was David. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. The third lesson is this: the guardian redeemer was always pointing towards something greater than himself. Boaz was the kinsman redeemer. He covered Ruth. He redeemed what had been lost. He restored the name of the dead. He took a foreign widow with nothing and gave her a future. He was doing what a kinsman redeemer does. But he was also being, without knowing it, a picture of something that was coming, a closer relative than Boaz. One who would not say, "I cannot redeem it because it might endanger my own estate." One who would redeem at the cost of everything. Who would spread the corner of his garment over a people who had nothing to offer. Who would cover what was lost and restore what had been taken, and give a future to those who had no future left. Jesus is the ultimate kinsman redeemer. He came from the line of Boaz and Ruth, born in the same Bethlehem where Ruth gleaned. He is the closer relative. He has the first right of redemption. And unlike the unnamed man at the gate, he did not refuse. He paid the full price. He covered the debt. He spread the corner of his garment over everyone who has lost everything and has nothing left to bring. You are not too foreign for him. You are not too broken. You are not too much of an outsider. Ruth was a Moabite woman with no husband and no home and no future. And she found herself in the genealogy of the Son of God. Come under his wings. He has not stopped showing his kindness to the living and the dead. And the fourth lesson is the one Naomi almost missed. Naomi came back empty. She came back bitter. She changed her own name because the word pleasant no longer fit what she felt. And she could not yet see what God was doing in the gleaning in the field. And the man who noticed a Moabite widow and asked his foreman who she was. She said the Lord's hand had turned against her. She said he had brought her back empty. And while she was saying it, Ruth was already in the field. The barley harvest was already beginning. Boaz was already noticing. God was already working. Naomi just could not see it yet. Whatever season you are in that feels like empty, whatever version of the road from Moab back to Bethlehem you are walking, having lost what you went out with and not yet knowing what is waiting at the other end. Whatever name you have given yourself that means bitter, the harvest has already begun. The field is already there. The kinsman redeemer is already at the gate. You just cannot see it yet. Call me Mara if you need to. Be honest about what the season has cost. Naomi was honest and God did not hold it against her, but do not let the bitterness be the last word. Because the last word in this story is not Mara. It is Obed, the child who renewed her life and sustained her in her old age. The one she held in her lap, and the women said, "Naomi has a son." The beginning of a line that would lead to David and beyond David to the one who is called the Son of David. The last word is always life. Based on the book of Ruth.